Culture shock, weather shock. Out of the 40s and 50s and into the 90s. It's been hot down in South Florida, and that's where the Mets will spend the next 3 days. Liberated from the Bronx and now ready to play the Marlins, whom they swept the last time they saw them. At Marlins Park in Miami, the New York Mets play the Miami Marlins. And a pleasant good evening, everybody, and welcome to South Florida. Gary Cohen, Keith Hernandez with you tonight as the Mets open a 3-game series against the Marlins. Last time the Mets played Miami, they swept them a 4-game series at Citi Field and left them for dead at 3-10. Everything's turned around for Miami since then. They're playing as well as anybody in baseball the last week.
Well, they've won 5 in a row, got their record to 8-11. They went on to Philadelphia, won 2 out of 3, came back home and swept the Nationals here. They're red hot right now, both offensively and starting pitching-wise. They got off to a terrible start offensively in the first 11 games, hitting only .226. The last 8 games hitting .314. Their pitching was terrible in the beginning. Their starting pitching, last 5 games, they've had 5 terrific starts. Their offense is clicking. D. Gordon at the top is red hot. Echeverria is red hot. At the bottom of the order was Player of the Week.
Mets come off losing 2 out of 3 in the Bronx, played a dreadful game last night. They'll try and right the ship tonight in the warm climes of South Florida. Mets and Marlins, all the action coming your way on SNY. SNY is brought to you by Tri-State Honda. Hurry to your local Tri-Honda dealer for great deals on the 2015 model. By StubHub, the official fan-to-fan ticket marketplace of the New York Mets. By McDonald's. Try McDonald's new 100% sirloin third-pound burgers starting at $4.99. And by Geico, the #1 insurer in the New York market. Who are the 4 players who best represent the history of the Mets, and who are the 4 greatest Major League Baseball players? Go to MLB.com/franchise4 to cast your ballots. Winners will be revealed during the All-Star Game, July 14th. Today's Game Changer brought to you by T-Mobile. Giancarlo Stanton, as feared hitter as there is in the National League, and, well, there you go. Since he arrived in the Major Leagues, no National League player has hit more home runs than big Mr. Stanton. Get to Citi Field this Saturday when the Mets take on the Nationals at 7:10. The first 15,000 fans will receive a Jacob deGrom Garden Gnome, courtesy of Gold's Horse Radish. For tickets, visit Mets.com/Super Saturdays. Mets and Marlins first at 3 in South Florida. Dylan G against Jared Cozart. First pitch coming right in. On DraftKings.com with the official daily fantasy partner of the New York Mets. Enter promo code NYM for free entry and claim your share of $300 million this MLB season. Mets face Jared Cozart for the second time in this young season. A rematch between Cozart and Dylan G. Curtis Granderson hit his 100th home run out of the leadoff spot last night, leading off the game at Yankee Stadium against Nate Eovaldi. Mets fell 6-4 last night. It's kind of an ugly affair. They committed 4 errors, base running mistakes, all manner of difficulty, and they'll try and turn it around tonight against Cozart, who makes his 4th start.
Well, Jared Cozart was acquired last season in the middle of the season for Jake Marisnick with Houston. Came over, was 9-7 at Houston, came over with Miami and was 4-4 in 10 starts. And a 2.39 earned run average. But that's last year, and this is this year. And the Mets kind of roughed him up in his original start. And as a matter of fact, this is a rematch of Dylan G. and Cozart. Both of them did not pitch well in that game. And we'll take a quick look at the Coors Light Marlins defense with Yelich on the disabled list. Suzuki, Ichiro, whatever we want to call him, has been starting in left field and hitting. The 2 guys in the middle playing great defense, Echeverria and Gordon, have been hitting as well as playing great D. And the new catcher, now he's here. They got rid of Saltalamacchia today, folks. And Realmuto is going to play.
Yeah, that's big news for the Marlins. Jared Saltalamacchia, 14 months ago, they signed him to a 3-year, $21 million deal. And they've designated him for assignment, so they've got 10 days to figure out what to do with him. Curtis Granderson leads off. First pitch by Cozart, a fastball in for a strike, and we're underway. Granderson's leadoff home run last night was the 29th of his career. He's hitting .360 over the last 6 games. And he hits one off the leg of Cozart. He's able to track it down and make the play, and now we'll see if Cozart is okay. So a hot shot back to the box that strikes the Marlins pitcher on the second pitch of the game.
First ball fastball hitting, or second pitch I should say, and it's a skate save.
Yeah, it looks like it's shoes, so he should be okay.
Oh, a nice kick save.
So all is well. Granderson hit hard, but he's retired. And that's the first out of the night. Now Juan Lagares. Lagares 6 for 8 the last 2 days at Yankee Stadium. 4 hits Saturday, 2 more last night. That's at 4 runs and 7 hits last night, but they all came in the first 5 innings, and then the Yankee bullpen put them to sleep the rest of the way.
Well, the Mets did not. They played their worst game of the year. It's only 2 of this young season where they really played poorly. Hopefully it's one you throw away, and it's a new start.
Lagares pops one up into shallow right, and Giancarlo Stanton settles under it, and that's the second out. When the Mets faced Cozart in New York, he stymied them for the first 4 innings.
Yes, he did.
And he had a 3-0 lead. Wilmer Flores had a 3-run homer against him to tie it. Gave up a couple more runs the next inning, and he was gone.
He's one of those guys, Ron, excuse me, Gare.
That's
so used to 3 in the
compliment.
booth.
That's nice.
He's so
I
used
take
to
that in a very positive vein.
This is our first twosome together.
Is it really?
I think so. Don't tell anybody.
Here's Lucas Duda with 2 out and nobody on. Lucas hitting at .324, and the Marlins put on the full shift against him.
There's the shift right there. Duda, of course, off to a terrific start. Lots of nice, pleasant surprises in this young season. Except for last night. 4 errors. You're not going to win too many of those ball games.
4 errors, base running mistakes. Yes. Campbell forgetting how many out there were. Murphy not sliding on a forced play at second. It was pretty much a mess right from the start. And yet the Mets were in that game most of the way. Yeah,
Neese didn't have it. They kind of batted him around a little bit, and you know, they didn't get into town. And there's a flip flop of the infield again that we saw in Prado moving over to the second base position.
And Echeverria back to the left side, figuring Duda's not going to bunt 3-0, and he takes a strike, 3-1.
So the Mets get on an airplane last night, folks, and I was here already, and I heard the bellman. I had put "Do Not Disturb" on my door, so I wouldn't be disturbed. Looked at my clock. It was 4:30 in the morning.
So you're saying that the "Do Not Disturb" sign didn't work? It's ball 4 to Duda, and the Mets have the first base runner of the night.
There was a very chatty bellman that really upset me. He was chatting it up with one of the players. I guess one of the media members, because we are not put on the same floor as the players. We are separate. We're on our own floor.
So what you're saying is that Josh Lewin woke you up. That's
basically
what you're saying.
It could be. Was it that high squeaky voice?
Wow. I'm not going there. Here's Michael Kadire. 2 hits in his last 23 at bats. With Duda at first and 2 out, and he takes a fastball strike. I know it wasn't Howie, because Howie didn't make the trip. He's with the Islanders tonight. And it wasn't me, and it wasn't Ronnie, because we weren't on that plane either.
So the point being, all of a sudden it came all about me. The players are out here playing with not much rest tonight.
What new? Kadire shoots 1 foul, and it's 0-2.
So this would be, from my playing experience, folks, one of the tough games to play that you really have to. Gosh, you'd have to sleep to 12 noon. You know, I would think, getting in at 4:30, and try to get as much rest as can. Get up, have a meal, and go to the ballpark.
Cozart ahead on Kadire, 0-2. And Michael lifts one to right center. A lot of room out there, and Stanton eases over to get it, and that retires the side. A walk and 1 left. Dylan G takes them out for the Mets when we come back to Miami. Team 5 straight wins. D. Gordon's been tearing it up. 390 second in the league. JT Realmuto now the catcher of the present for the Marlins, with Jared Saltalamacchia shipped out today.
And here's Dylan going after his first win, coming off a very good start against Atlanta. 7 innings, 2 runs, but a no decision, unfortunately.
D. Gordon had a 5-hit game, the Marlins' last game in New York, and he has kept hitting since. He's got 32 hits already through the Marlins' first 19 games. That leads the National League, and he's batting .390.
I think he's a heck of a player. This is not a team that's going to walk now. Gordon at the top of the order. Only 3 walks thus far. Prado inserted into the 2-hole where he belongs when Yelich went down with the back on the DL.
If you hit .390, how much do you have to walk?
Well, it's not going to happen.
Murphy handles the hop and throws out Gordon one away. And clearly you need to keep Gordon off base if you want to have a chance to beat these Marlins.
And we'll take a quick look at your humble and lovable Metsies, brought to you by Lexus. Kadir, Lagares, Granderson, that's a magnificent trio out there pretty much every day. The infield coming off kind of a rough day. 4 errors yesterday, 3 on the infield. Plawecki, who has really shown some wonderful signs early since replacing the injured d'Arnaud.
So here's Prado, now elevated to the 2-hole with Christian Yelich on the disabled list. Prado hitting a .288.
He's an old pro, this guy, and another guy that doesn't walk. 3 walks. If you look down the order gear, there's only one person win double digits in walks, and that's obviously Stanton.
Slider off the plate, 1-1. Well, in G's start against the Marlins, the opening game of that 4-game series, he gave up 2 home runs, 1 to Stanton and 1 to Prado, the only home run that Prado's hit this year. And another chance for Murphy. Lays back on it and makes the play 2 out. And we mentioned Stanton's home run in that April 16th game. Here it is.
Well, it's important to watch at home, folks, how Dylan stayed away. Pretty much a slider just missed. Away. Slider up and away. 2-0. Change up away. 3-0. Fastball down the pipe. Change up down and in. That's the pitch I like. Get under his bat. That was one he missed. There's another good change. And then fastball up out over the plate. Nothing inside. And you cannot pitch this man from the belt up. You have to get him downstairs. And you have to make him recognize inside, which what Harvey did when his start ate him up.
Broken bat grounder. Flores comes in to get it, and the quick toss gets Stanton by a stride. 3 ground ball outs for G, who came inside and broke Stanton's bat. Nice start for G. No score after 1 in Miami.
Mets minor league pitching coach and former bullpen coach Guy Conti is here.
One of the great guys, came over from the Dodgers, years with the Dodgers in the minor leagues.
The guy Pedro Martinez calls my English father.
Wonderful man. Murphy had a nice day at the plate. 2 rips yesterday, and what impressed me the most, and I think the most important one, was the line drive double to left center field. His last hit of the day, I believe.
Not the one that undressed Mark Teixeira.
That was good too, but for me as a hitter, Murphy hits a lot like I did. He uses the field, become more of a pull hitter, but when he can drive that ball to left center field, that means he's on his way to coming out of his bad start, a very unusual bad start. Like I said, I'm not worried.
I read a stat today about Murphy's game last night that shocked me. It was the first multiple extra base hit game that Murphy had on the road since May 6th of last year. Here. Pops this one up. And Echeverria on the outfielder rim waiting for it. One away.
And wasn't Murph one of the top hitters on the road last year?
And a big doubles guy. So
yeah.
you figured, somewhere along the way he'd pick up a couple of doubles in a game, but he hadn't done it in almost a calendar year. Here's Eric Campbell making his 12th start. Last night was the first time in the 11 games he started that he has not reached base. Well, he sort of reached base. He reached on a fielder's choice. That doesn't count. And then it counted when he forgot how many out there were and got doubled off on a fly ball to right. That's the kind of night it was for the Mets.
And they were in the hunt, as you said, Garrett. 6-4 they wound up losing. A typical Eovaldi game, all over the place. Threw a lot of breaking balls.
Driven out to right field and stands right there waiting for it. 2 out. Yeah, Eovaldi's a puzzling case because he throws so hard. He's got a good slider, and he doesn't get swings and misses.
He doesn't. He has no command, Gary. He makes too many fat pitches. He hasn't got complete command of his slider. He can. It's a one thing to get it over for a strike, but if you get it a slider over the middle of the plate, but major league hitters are going to pound it.
Of course, Eovaldi traded to the Yankees from these Marlins. That got the Martin Prado in return. Wilmer Flores takes outside ball 1. Flores, remember, hit the 3-run homer against Cozart when these two met 11 days ago. Wilmer had an 8-game hitting streak end last night. He starts a new one with a base hit to right center. Ozuna in quickly to get it, and the Mets have the first hit of the night. A 2-out single for Flores.
This is a ball inner half. Wants to be away. It's inner half. And look at him. Look how strong he is. Look how inside. It's not even an inside out. It's just he just got the barrel through. And that's when Wilmer, I like him going hard into right center field as Pawlecki steps up. Wilmer's been doing a terrific job. He tends to try to pull too much, Garrett. Then the right-handers give him trouble with that breaking ball.
Pawlecki hitting 8th in the order, making his 6th start since coming up to fill in for the injured Travis d'Arnaud, and Cozart runs one inside.
Oh, here we are again, Garrett, in this wonderful ballpark.
Roof is closed. It was very hot today, and unless the weather conditions are perfect, they tend to not open the roof here. They open it maybe a dozen times a season.
Well, there's thunderstorms are in the forecast.
So you're saying we might spend 3 days here without the roof open?
Yes.
Bouncing ball for Gordon. He'll have to go to first with it. And that retires the side. A hit and 1 left. Dylan G heads back to the mound with no score in Miami. style ballpark here in Miami, Marlins Park, with its retractable roof. Marcell Ozuna leads off in the home second for Miami. Ozuna, like everybody else on this Marlins team, has been picking it up over the last week, hitting .288 now for the year. And G starts him off with a breaking ball strike.
And he looked as bad as any hitter could look in that 4-game series in New York. And look at this, a guy that hit 23 home runs last year. He got it back on track.
Toward the backhand of Flores, has time to set, and the perfect throw gets Ozuna. Nicely done by Flores, one away.
Well, when Flores was under consideration for shortstop, we all wondered, I did he have a strong enough arm? Well, he has a strong enough arm. A very nice strong throw from the hole there in the short outfield. Nice backhand. Realizes he's hit hard. He's got time to plant. There's nothing wrong with that throw. Plenty of mustard on it.
You know, it seems to me, as a layman, Keith, that when Wilmer has trouble with his throws, and he made a throwing error yesterday trying to turn a double play, it's often about his footwork putting him in a bad spot.
Right. Well, he's a big, long-legged kid. Now, he doesn't look that tall, folks. I'm 6 feet. He's taller than me. He's around 6'2". Tall kid. He's kind of long-legged, and his feet kind of get in the way. But his foot speed and agility have really improved.
Morris finds the middle of the diamond and sneaks it through for the first Marlins hit of the night. So Michael Morris with a 1-out single. G getting yet another ground ball, but this one finds a hole.
Well, very fast infield here, like most major league parks now, and not much you can do about that. Morris, who's really been one of the few hitters that has been struggling in this lineup.
Now JT Realmuto, who won a huge vote of confidence today when the Marlins designated Jared Saltalamacchia for assignment. So Realmuto, 24 years old, has been handed the keys to the car. He's going to be the full-time #1 catcher now for the Marlins. He had been anyway since he came up. They've been playing him. Saltalamacchia was out on paternity leave the last few days, and when his paternity leave ended, they told him, don't bother coming back. We've designated you for assignment, which means they have 10 days to figure out what to do with him, trade him, release him. The Marlins GM Dan Jennings was quoted today as saying he's already had 5 teams call him interested in Saltalamacchia, but the problem is he's owed $15 million for this year and next. So even if they're able to make a deal for him, they're probably going to have to eat most of that contract.
Well, that's a far cry from what the Angels are going to owe Josh Hamilton.
It was such a strange situation. Wow. They really devalued their own player with the comments that they made. Fly ball to center. Lots of room out there for Lagares. And Realmuto retired for the second out. But Hamilton maybe will be able to resurrect himself in Texas, and the Angels will be paying the freight.
They actually owe Josh Hamilton more money than the Yankees owe A-Rod in his remaining years of his contract.
The funny thing about it is, you know, you think back about the way Angels ownership reacted when Hamilton had the relapse that he had this past winter. Here's Ichiro Suzuki, 41 years old and still going strong. And he rips one down to Duda, makes a nice diving grab, and that retires the side. We'll talk more about Josh Hamilton when we come back. Duda takes an extra base hit away from Ichiro. No score after 2. What to expect from Rafael Montero as he makes his first start of the season on Daily News Live, presented by Citi, tomorrow at 5, only on SNY. Well, Dylan G will celebrate his 29th birthday tomorrow, and it's kind of an odd present that he's going to be given. A challenger in the rotation. Now, the Mets are not framing it that way. They say that Montero's coming up just to give everybody extra day of rest. The Mets are in a stretch of 13 straight games without an off day, and particularly they want to give Matt Harvey an extra day between starts. But if Montero comes up here and pitches well, then the Mets are going to have to figure out what to do from there.
Well, you know, competition's a great thing, and we talked about young Dilson Herrera during the Yankee series, red hot.
He flies one to left center, easy for Ozuna. 1 out. And there are your City probables for the remainder of the series. Montero gets his first start of the year tomorrow against David Phelps, and Bartolo Colon tries to go to 5-0 Wednesday night against Matt Latos, who's pitched better his last start, but still has really gotten off to a dreadful beginning in a Marlins uniform. Here's Granderson with 1 out. You were saying about Montero.
Well, you know, we were talking about Dilson Herrera wearing out AAA and Murph struggling, and I mean, Murph's going to hit eventually. I think he's on his way now. But competition is the name of the game. This is a meritocracy, the sport. The best are going to play. There's 29 other teams. There's somewhere you're going to play, whether you're not going to, you know, their first trade is always the one that hurts the most. But if Montero throws a good game, and it looks like they're going to be doing this, what, once a month maybe, just for Harvey?
When they have these long stretches without an off day, because they want to give Harvey an extra day where they can. Colon also, almost 42 years old.
I think it's a good idea.
Slapped down to Prado at third, and Granderson thrown out 2 away. No, but it creates that perception, particularly in light of the fact that at the end of spring training, they never really announced that G had won the job from Montero. It just kind of happened that way. So they were keeping Montero alive in that mix because he pitched so well this spring. So it just creates a little more intrigue. And certainly if you're Dylan G or John Neese, you know that the Mets have got a whole passel of young pitchers who are bubbling right toward the surface, and that, you know, you need to pitch well if you want to hold your spot.
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
Lagares shoots one into right field. That's a base hit. 7 hits in his last 10 at bats for Juan Lagares, and the Mets have a 2-out base run.
Well, they've said in the paper that they've been kind of needling Juan. They think he can be a 20 home run guy, and I kind of agree. He's a strong kid, but you see that swing right there? That's his strength right now. I always look for young hitters with the ability, to go the opposite field and drive it there, not slap it out there. And Juan has that capability. He'll learn to pull. Don't rush it.
Here's Duda, who walked his first time up. And he takes a strike. I did want to get back to Josh Hamilton, who left that hanging a moment ago. When the Angels signed him, it's not like they didn't know that he had an addiction problem. I mean, everybody knew. They gave him an enormous amount of money and crossed their fingers. So for them to make the public statements that they made in the wake of his relapse this winter was kind of shocking. It's a medical issue. It's you know, and again, it was not like it was undisclosed. They knew it was a possibility.
Well, it's a dependency issue, and I think it's going to haunt him the rest of his life. It's very unfortunate, but like I said, he's going to have a place to play. He's gone from the Angels, and it looks like he's going to wind up in Texas.
He's there now. 1-1 to Duda. And he certainly, you know, enjoyed success in Texas. He had a nice support system there, so perhaps it'll be the best thing for him. Terry Collins was talking about Hamilton today. They were together when Josh first signed. Terry was a coach in Tampa Bay, and he's just talking about how immensely talented he was in every area. A kid who threw 95 in high school. They weren't sure whether he was going to be a pitcher or a hitter.
Pretty good pitch right here from Cosart. He hasn't proved to me yet that he can throw a 2-1 changeup and put it in a spot right there. Outside corner, knees sinking. pitcher's pitch.
Guy who leans on his fastball the vast majority of the time, almost 84% fastball this year.
Lagares at first and 2 out. He's running, and Duda hits one back to Kozar. And that retires the side. A 2-out single. The Mets lead Lagares. Still no score in Miami. Innings, no score as we go to the bottom of the third. Let's check in with Steve Gelbs. His report tonight is brought to you by ESPN Radio. Steve?
Well, guys, you were talking a little bit about the Mets travel schedule, getting in around 4:30 in the morning. Early this morning, I guess is the best way to put it. And when I walked into the clubhouse today, a lot of sleepy guys around the clubhouse. The unofficial poll I took had most guys getting between 4 to 5.5 hours of sleep. They didn't want to mess with their routine all that much today, but Kirk Neuenhuis made sure to point out to me that, yeah, this is tough. You got to push through it. But listen, coming from AAA, it's a whole lot tougher in the minors. He spoke about one particular game where he was playing in Gwinnett, Atlanta, while he was playing for AAA for the Mets. Went down there. They had a 7 o'clock game. Got back to the hotel at midnight after extra innings. Hot shot here as Flores makes the play. But got back to the hotel at midnight after extra innings. They had a 3 a.m. wake-up call to make the bus. The bus then took him to the airport, flew up to Charlotte, where they had to catch a connecting flight to fly up to Buffalo to then play a 6 o'clock game that night. He said, we were zombies back then. This we can get through.
No charter flights in the minor leagues.
Well, that's the minor leagues, Steve. You expect that in the minor leagues. It's tough scheduling. And I remember when I was a player and a player rep for the Mets when it was negotiated in a basic agreement for the night games on Sunday, and obviously it was more towards pension for the players. It was something that was worthwhile, and we knew as a group that the first place teams, the teams that were good, were going to be the ones that were going to be suffering and playing the night games. So the Mets now off to a hot start. They're going to be a lot on national TV, you can bet.
3-0 to the opposing pitcher, and G throws a strike. Well, the Sunday night games aside, because that's kind of a special event thing, but Wednesday night the Mets are playing a night game here, and they fly home and play at home the next night. G throws out Kozar for the second out. Now, I would think that the Players Association, and Ronnie's talked about this in the past, would want to negotiate that all getaway days, Sunday nights aside, should be day games. And I don't understand really why they haven't done that.
That's not going to happen.
All the power they've had.
It's not going to happen. They're always going to. It's a venue that's going to attract a lot of viewers. Sunday night.
Not talking about Sunday night. Sunday night aside, but this, for instance, Wednesday night, the Mets are playing a night game.
Yes.
Here, and they're home the next night.
I got
that
you.
should be a day game.
Yes. and that's not going to happen.
Well, I don't know why not.
I mean, the itinerary, folks, is the Mets get home at 3 in the morning, and I'll be on that plane and have to play Thursday night. So they have to get off the plane. There's a bus right there in the tarmac, takes you over to Citi Field. That's around a half hour or a little bit more. So they're not going to be getting home till around 4:15, and they've got a tough 4-game series coming in with the Nationals. A series, I don't want to get ahead of myself here. These are important games right here. This is the most important game of the season right now, the one tonight. But as announcers up here, they got a chance with a wounded national team in a 4-game series at home that are 7 games back to really put some distance if they can take 3 out of 4. It's kind of an exciting to even be talking about it here.
Gordon rips one just past Duda and into right field. So B. Gordon adds to his base hit total. That's his 33rd of the year. And now G has to deal with the stolen base possibility.
Well, Gordon is red hot at the plate, good hitting on an up and in fastball. Now, Gordon is a guy that steals a lot of bases, led the National League, and there he is at the top of the list. Usually, it's always the guys in the 1, 2, 3 in the order that are the hit leaders.
Hit leaders presented by DraftKings. Play daily fantasy baseball for free on DraftKings.com. Enter promo code NYM for free entry.
Gordon gets thrown out a lot.
Yeah. And that's something they've been working on. 8 steals, but 6 caught stealing. Not a good percentage at all.
He leads the National League in caught stealing, and last year he got caught quite a bit too.
Yeah, 19 caught stealing last year, but he stole 64 to lead the National League. He's second behind Billy Hamilton this year. They've been working at lengthening his lead a little bit, thinking that he was not getting enough distance on his start, and that's why he's been getting thrown out.
Well, you don't want to get him off too far where he feels frightened, you know, or a little skittish.
Prada with the plate, grounded out his first time and hits a one-hopper down to third. G really doing a great job of keeping the ball on the ground. That's 8 ground ball outs for Dillon in the first 3 innings. He's off to a fast start. No score. Fourth inning, Michael Kadire leads off against Jared Cozart and takes a curveball for a strike. Kadire flied to right his first time up. Each team with 2 hits over the first 3 innings. Cozart and G matching up for the second time in 11 days, and so far they've both looked solid. In G's case, we were talking about the Mets travel. He's the most rested guy. He flew ahead of the team.
Yes, and
yesterday.
wisely so. And I'm sure the Mets will do the same thing. Who's got the opening start at the homestand?
It would be DeGrom, I think.
Yes, he'll probably fly home early.
Cozart strikes out Kadire with a curveball in the dirt. Realmuto did not tag him and makes the toss to complete the putout. That's the first strikeout of the game for Cozart.
Kadire really hasn't gotten untracked. I mean, into his first real hot streak this season. He's been steady. He's had his good days and bad days, but you know, with him not feeling 100% at the plate, he still gets his knocks, still drives in his runs.
Here's Murphy, who popped to short his first time. Cozart really breaking out the curve second time through the batting order. Murphy trying to build on his good night at the plate last night. Went 2 for 3 with a pair of doubles. Eric Campbell waits on deck. David Wright's down in Port St. Lucie now, a couple of hours north of here, starting baseball activities. David is eligible to come off the disabled list Thursday. That's not going to happen, but the Mets are hoping that he'll be ready maybe Saturday, maybe Sunday, maybe early next week. Not going to rush you with a hamstring injury.
No, because if he hurts it again, he's going to miss a month and a half.
1-2 from Cozart, and Murphy with the emergency hack fouls it off. Bobby Parnell was in the Mets clubhouse today. Parnell had a little stiffness in his forearm coming back from Tommy John surgery. Was shut down for a little while, but looks like he's going to go back to the mound on Thursday to ramp himself up again. There's Bobby sitting out with his teammates in the bullpen.
He trimmed up the beard.
He did.
It's awful hot down in Florida, you know. Isn't that where we are?
It really has been hot.
Oh man, it's humid today.
95 today.
I can tell you yesterday was glorious. I was at the pool all afternoon.
Murph fouls off the changeup. Did they take care of you by the pool? Extra towels?
It is the most spectacular pool layout of any hotel I've ever been in. Yes, they did take care of me here. I insisted upon it.
Gordon handles the ground ball. And Cozart rolling along. He was retired the first 2 here in the 4th.
I never got thirsty yesterday, Gary.
Oh, they kept your glass filled? It's a nice view of the sunset beyond the spaceship that is Marlins Park. Set in the Little Havana neighborhood, right where the Orange Bowl used to be. Here's Eric Campbell, 2 out and nobody on. Campbell flied to right his first trip. You ever make it to a football game at the Orange Bowl?
I made it to one with Ed Lynch, the Raiders, my team back then. I think it was in the 90s. I'm not sure. Went to the game. Only a handful of Raider fans, and the opening drive, Marino drove him down to the 1-yard line. Oh, good breaking ball. Then he threw a 101-yard interception return, and the Raiders went on to just beat the tar out of the Dogs.
So when you say your team at the time, you mean
I can't root for them now. The Raiders.
You've abandoned?
I've abandoned them. Wow. And I go back to the AFL days. I like them. It's just not the same. It's not the same. And I didn't jump ship and gone over to the 49ers.
Abandon your childhood team.
I know. I like those bad boys.
Just inside to Campbell, full count.
That's Larry Vanover, the crew chief, behind home plate. Hasn't been calling inside strikes from what I've seen early in this Wago.
Only the second 3-ball count tonight for Cozart. And Campbell drives one to right, but Stanton's there. Side retired. First 1-2-3 inning of the night for Cozart. Stanton catches the line drive, and Stanton will get a turn it back against Dylan G. He'll lead off in the bottom of the 4th when we come back. Well, moments ago, Giancarlo Stanton swung at the first pitch he saw in the bottom of the fourth and drilled a base hit to left field, and here's what it looked like.
Well, Garrett, you had such a tease for the audience, too, as we went to break. There it is. So I tell you, that belt-high and up fastball cannot pitch him upstairs.
Well, it's the first time either team has had the leadoff man aboard tonight. Marcelo Ozuna, the batter, grounded out to short his first time up.
Big open stance, Ozuna.
That front foot is almost out of the batter's box.
It is, and he doesn't really stride forward a lot. He's slightly in the bucket, and he does not have. He has a little bit of an issue with the outside corner.
And the curveball dribbled. G goes to Duda, gets the out as Stanton moves up to second. So the Marlins have a runner in scoring position for the first time tonight. And now Michael Morris, who had the first Miami hit tonight, a single up the middle. Well, the Marlins have been very aggressive against G, and you see he's gotten more than his share of ground balls tonight. But look at the pitch count: 34 pitches through 3 1/3, and it makes sense if you're scouting Dylan G. You look at his strike percentage. Throws strikes 72% of the time this year. That's most of any major league starter this season. So you figure you're going to see something in the strike zone early in the count. Morris holds the swing 1-0.
Well, it's one thing about someone throwing 72% pitches in the strike zone. It's the location that's important, and Dylan knows how to pitch.
On the backhand for Flores, plenty of time with Morris running, and that's the second out. Second time tonight that Flores has neatly gone to his backhand.
2 more ground ball outs, Garrett.
That's 10 of them now, of the first 11 outs that G has collected. So what does that tell you?
He's got good sink. This is a predominantly right-hand hitting batting order. Gordon and Ichiro are the only lefties. He's throwing that little sinker and that change sink. It gets under the bat.
JT Realmuto flied out to center his first time up. And he hits another ground ball. This one for G. It's an amazing 11 ground ball outs in the first 4 innings for Dylan G. No score as we go to the 5th in Miami.
Ago, if our director had been more on the ball, he might have caught a better shot.
Such a stickler. Wilmer Flores leads off in the 5th inning for New York. Flores has one of the Mets' 2 hits. He singled to right center in the 2nd. So he's obviously seeing the ball well against Cozart. He's now 4 for 6 against him, including that home run that he hit in New York 11 days ago. And you see his career numbers against the Marlins. Had a 6 RBI game against them last year. Grounds the curveball down to Prado, and the overhand throw gets him one away.
The right-handers would have a little more success against Cozart by going the other way. He's been keeping the ball predominantly away.
Coming into the day, Cozart in his 3 starts had given up a 192 batting average to right-hand batters. Here's Plawecki, who grounded out to second base his first trip, and that's just off the plate. 93 from Cozart. Kevin Plawecki 4 for 19 in his brief big league career. And the curveball bends in for a strike, 1-1.
Well, this is what we saw the first game, Gary. He's going into that 5th inning when the Mets finally tagged him. 4 scoreless once again.
Well, he pitched very well his last start against the Phillies. Went 6 innings, allowed a run on 4 hits and no walks. Dylan G on deck. Cozart's a guy who began his career as a 38th round draft pick by the Phillies.
Oh boy,
miss.
Vanover has a tight corner strike zone.
Cozart was traded from the Phillies to the Astros for Hunter Pence back at the trading deadline in 2011, and traded at the deadline again last year. Pulled down to third. Picked neatly on the backhand by Prado. 2 out.
He's enticing Met hitters, right-hand hitters, to pull that curveball. He takes a little off that curve, and the off speed of the curve, which has a little tight break, gets the hitters out in front. This is right down the middle. It's a pitch you can go the other way with. You can see Plawecki getting it out in front. So it's when a pitcher's doing that to you, and he's done it your first 2 at bats, you've got to sit there and go, okay, he's got me out twice. I've rolled it over twice, done exactly what he thinks. The 3rd time, I'm going to get him. Not that easy.
No.
But that's your thought process. That should be your thought process.
A couple of pitchers from Texas squaring off. Dylan G from Claiborne, which is near Fort Worth. Derek Cozart from League City, Texas, down near Houston. And Cozart has the upper hand there. His 2nd strikeout of the night. 2 pitchers at the top of their game halfway through. No score in Miami. in attendance tonight. Mike makes his home down here in Florida.
Wasn't a Marlin very long, was he?
5 days in between being a Dodger and then being traded to the Mets in 1998. Nice to see Mike in the ballpark. Ichiro Suzuki leads off in the home 5th inning against Dylan G. Lower third of the order for Dylan. Suzuki grounded out to Duda. Diving stop on one pitch his first time up. And G finds the inside corner. Ichiro, 14 hits this season. That gives him 4,136 combined between the Nippon Professional Baseball League and Major League Baseball. G throws him out. And the ground ball parade continues for Dylan. 12 of his first 13 outs.
Who's the guy that hit the fly ball? Realmoto with the fly ball to center field. That's right.
That was in the 2nd inning. Here's Echeverria, who's just named National League Player of the Week, hit 500 the last week.
Look at his RBIs from a guy hitting 8th.
4th in the league in runs scored, 3rd in the league in RBIs, 7th in the league in base hits. And that's after beginning the year 1 for 22. So he's been raging hot. But G fools him with a slider, 0-1.
Well, you see what a little competition does, Gare.
It's interesting you said that, because I was just going to bring up the fact that before he made that last start against the Braves, Dylan went in and vented to Terry Collins. I mean, he got whipped around during the offseason and spring training. He was going to be traded. He didn't get traded. He was going to be put in the bullpen. Wheeler got hurt. He was back in the rotation. Then he was in competition with Montero. They gave him the job at the last moment. Now Montero's coming up and making a start. So if you're G, you understand that your head might be swimming. And Terry let him vent for as long as he needed to, and Dylan felt better and went out and threw a terrific game against the Braves, and even better tonight.
And Dylan's a very easygoing guy, soft-spoken, even-keeled. But enough's enough.
Swing and a miss, and he gets Echeverria for his first strikeout of the night. So he fans a hot hitter.
Changeup. Got it working.
So 2 out and nobody on. Now it's Cozart, who had a comebacker his first time up. Who's going to crack?
Who is going to blink is what I like better. Prefer that term.
And G quickly ahead 0-2. D. Gordon would be next. Marlins have 3 hits. The Mets have 2. Cozart out on strikes. Back-to-back strikeouts for Dylan G. And that's how the 5th inning comes to an end. All zeros tonight. Mets and Marlins. No score after 5. Game Day on SNY.TV, featuring pitch-by-pitch coverage, player cards, and in-depth stats. Check out SNY Game Day on SNY.TV, your online home of all things New York sports. Well, third time around the batting order, Curtis Granderson leads off in the 6th in a scoreless game.
Both pitchers will have to face top of the order this inning.
And if you're the leadoff hitter in a game where both pitchers are cruising along, how do you handle that third at bat?
Even if it's a 5-5 game or a one-run ball game, Gary, and it doesn't have to be the leadoff hitter. I got up in that third position a lot of times late in the ball game, close or tied, where I led the inning off. And I thought of it in terms of, okay, I'm a leadoff hitter. I'm going to get on base by hook or crook. Now, do I try? I wouldn't try to put a bunt down. I think with the way the third baseman, Prado, is playing, Curtis won't put a bunt down. But you don't get out of your game plan. Curtis has had a good eye. He's walked a lot. You go up there and you really, really focus and bear down on this at bat and find a way to get on base.
He's grounded out twice tonight, and he works the count to 3-1. I find it fascinating, by the way, that the Yankees played a full shift against Granderson all weekend, and the Marlins don't. Teams have
short right field porch, inducing him to pull.
Well, he hit one out last night. And that's a check swing. Did he go? He did not. Ball 4. Vic Carapazza with the call at third, and so there you go. Granderson gets on with a leadoff walk, the second of the night for Cozart.
And the old trite baseball adage, a walk is as good as a hit.
Your JetBlue 6th inning recap. It's been all about the pitchers tonight. G and Cozart matching zeros. Second time they've hooked up this year. Both were so-so the first time. Brilliant so far in this game. Lagares 1 for 2, single to right his last time up, and he drops down a bunt.
And Real Muto picks it out of the air and doubles up Granderson. What a terrific play by the rookie catcher. Popping out from behind home plate and picking off this little popped up bunt.
Remember now, you got Lagares coming across home plate, blocking his view really quick. The ball wasn't up high. Just a terrific play. Bad base running here by Granderson. The ball's up in the air. You can't get doubled off. But that happens. But this is a heck of a play.
I mean, it's like a line drive, and he caught it in fair territory.
That's just a very athletic play from Real Muto.
So it's a 2-3 double play. Single to right.
There it is right there. Just take you right out of an inning. Big shift on Lucas.
So Cozart, who walked Granderson, only to see him erased, falls behind Duda, and that'll send Real Muto out for a conversation.
That, to me, I mean, I understand Terry's thinking with the sacrifice. You can't second guess that.
Do you think he was sacrificing?
Yes, I do. I do.
Boy, he sure wasn't squared.
No, maybe not, but we'll have to ask Terry tomorrow. We don't have a Bullwinkle Moose crystal ball.
Maybe we should have a hotline. Pick up the red phone. Hey, Terry.
So there's the shift in the infield again with Prado going out into short right field, vacating third base.
This wouldn't be a bad time for Duda to think about swinging 3-0. 2 out and nobody on. And he does and fouls it off.
I just think we talked about earlier Lagares' second at bat, the blind drive to right field, hitting the ball good the opposite way. I am a proponent of the hit and run, and I know it's not in vogue today.
Well, they executed one to win a game at Citi Field during that long winning streak.
I'd rather hit and run.
Good fastball by Cozart. Fouled it up to 94 and gets the count full.
But I can't second guess a bunt, and we'll find out later if that was a sacrifice or Lagares trying to put one down to advance the runner, if not beat out a base hit.
And Duda's on with a walk, second one of the inning, third of the night for Cozart. And so the Mets have a 2-out base runner with Kadire coming up. Michael has flied out and struck out tonight, 0 for 2, now just 2 for his last 25. Duda at first and 2 out. No score, 6th inning. And Cuddyer shoots one foul. Duda walking for the 2nd time tonight. If guys behind him in the lineup don't pick it up, he's going to see a lot more of that. Cuddyer hits one out to right field, and Stanton has it lined up. That retires the side. A terrific play by Real Muto on the bunt takes the Mets out of an inning. Still no score. As we go to the bottom of the 6th. Campbell in at 3rd against Gordon, who flies the first one out to left, and Cuddyer has it lined up. 1 pitch and 1 out for G, who's thrown just 47 pitches to get 16 outs. Amazing. Let's check in with the studio for a game break. Brought to you by the Honda Dream Garage Sales Event with Kareth Berg. That was Kareth.
Okay.
Thanks, Kareth. Here's Martin Prado, who's 0 for 2. And G gets the inside corner call from Larry Vanover, 0-1. So Dillon's now retired 7 in a row. You know what this game's starting to remind me of?
Tell me.
That game he pitched in Atlanta.
Oh, no, don't go there.
That ended at, what was it, 1 in the morning?
Oh.
And he had a shutout going to the 9th inning.
Wasn't it a left-hand hitter that...
It was, but the Mets need to get him some runs. Flores runs around his backhand this time, and the overhand throw in time, 2 out. By the way, we haven't even mentioned it. Flores last night got drilled in the ankle by a pitch late in that game, and it was right on the bone. And he was able to shake it off and get right back out there.
I like that.
Andrew Miller in the 9th inning last night.
I like that.
So now Stanton with 2 out and nobody on.
Pull defense.
And Stanton pops one 1.5 miles high. Murphy calling. Side retired. A 5-pitch inning for G. 52 pitches through 6 for Dillon. Still no score. they have been the story. Dylan G and Jared Cosart, the two Texas right-handers, matching up for the second time this year, and they have both been tremendous. Mets will try and break through in the 7th. Daniel Murphy leads off against Cosart. Murphy is popped to short, grounded to second, 0 for 2. There's the Marlins owner, Jeffrey Loria, who today went on a radio show and said that Mike Redmond is the manager of the Marlins, period. Murphy hits him sharply, but right at Gordon, and that's the first out, which, you know, is helpful. Probably would have been more helpful for Redmond if he'd said it before they won 5 in a row. Precisely. They were 3-11
because there was rumor of Wally Backman in the hunt, and the team was 3-11, and everybody was, the sky was falling.
But now he's gotten that dreaded vote of confidence. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. Here's Campbell, who's hit the ball to right field twice. Second one was hit pretty hard. Mets have had very few hard hit balls against Cosart tonight. Jared Cosart, who went 13-11 last year between Houston and Miami, and then had a rocky preseason in that he was investigated by Major League Baseball and ultimately fined for illegal gambling, although cleared of gambling on baseball, which would have been meant a banishment. Gordon on the check swing throws out Campbell for the second out, but you know, he was left in limbo for a couple of weeks there during spring training before they got that whole thing ironed out. So that couldn't have been an easy way to start his season. Here's Flores, who had the big hit against Cosart the last time these two teams met, with a 3-run homer. Tonight 1 for 2. Two out and nobody on, and it's outside to Flores.
Well, Cosart's throwing a lot better this start than he did in New York.
See what the Marlins have done recently during this 5-game winning streak. A complete turnaround from where they were the first 2 weeks of the year. And Cosart with the easy handle. Side retired. Mets are down 1-2-3 in the top of the 7th. Stretch time already in Miami. Still no score.
More about the Mets than Gary Cohen and how he rose. SNY is looking for 2 fans to compete against the best. Think you have what it takes to outsmart the brains of the booth? You got to be kidding me. And win $5,000? Then come to Citi Field for SNY's open edition for Beat the Booth, Saturday, May 16th, starting at 9 a.m.
I'm wondering, are you eligible to compete for that spot?
I recused myself.
Marcell Ozuna flies one to right. Everybody playing like they're in a hurry tonight. Dylan G throws his 53rd pitch and gets the first out in the 7th inning. Well, we had the battle of the broadcasters last year, and Keith came on in the late innings with the big hit.
Ronnie was solid all the way through, and
but we've thrown you guys overboard. Now it's me and Howie against the world.
Ronnie and I, we went to Kurt and we said, "Doggone it, Kurt, we want to be a part of this." What?
I know that there are Met fans all over the New York area who are reading every Mets media guide cover to cover. And Howie and I are going to be toast. We're just going to be toast.
Well, yeah.
13 ground ball outs for Dylan G tonight. The ground ball rate has slowed down a bit the last couple, but the out rate just fine. He's retired 10 in a row. Michael Morris has one of the 3 Marlins hits, and he fouls back the fastball, 1-1. Anyway, it's going to be a lot of fun, and I'm sure we'll find some Met fans who are just phenomenal with their Mets knowledge. G running that one in on Morrison. It's 1-2. JT Realmuto waiting on deck. There have been just 5 hits in this game. 3 for the Marlins, 2 for the Mets, all singles. G hasn't walked a batter. He's struck out 2. And Morris hits one down to third. And Campbell with a high throw. Duda, though, makes the tag in time for the out. So Campbell was a little erratic on a throw last night that cost him an error. Off line this time, but Duda saves him.
Lucas has shown a lot of agility around the bag. Very quick-footed with the double play ball on the grounder, and very adept at coming and knows when to come off the bag. He's a first baseman. He knows how to play it.
So 2 big men who could have collided down there at first base, Duda and Morris. But Lucas nimble going for that ball and putting that tag on. So 2 out and nobody on. 11 in a row now retired by G. It's the last time you saw a pitcher get 20 outs and be only at 58 pitches. Charging is Lagares, and he gets there to retire Realmuto, and the beat rolls on for Dylan G. 12 in a row retired. There's 59 pitches through 7 innings, but no score. Montero comes up to make his first start of the year against the former Yankee David Phelps. Our coverage starts at 6 o'clock tomorrow night right here on SNY. Kevin Plawecki leading off the 8th and goes after the first pitch fastball and fouls it off. Plawecki, G, and Granderson against Jared Cozart, who's allowed just 2 hits. G's allowed just 3. Taking a few more pitches for Cozart to get to this point. He's at 86. G just at 59. Toward the middle of the diamond, Echeverria hurries over and easily throws out Plawecki 1 away.
He's sweet over there at shortstop. Echeverria. This is a squad here. This Marlins squad has only made 5 errors as a team so far this year. That is the lowest in the major leagues. Well below any other team. They've been solid.
So now Cozart's got 11 ground ball outs of his own. So it's been a ground ball parade tonight. G has had 14 ground ball outs.
You've got an outfield out here with 3 strong arms.
Dillon lifts one to center, and Ozuna is there. 2 out.
Ichiro has 100. Uh-oh, here we go. Don't let me interrupt the race.
The horses are on the track.
Ladies and gentlemen.
2 out and nobody on. Now Granderson, who's 0 for 2 and a walk tonight, his 15th walk of the season. And he lays off breaking ball 1-0.
As I was saying,
what were you saying?
Ichiro has 111 outfield assists, 3rd among the active players since 2001. There he is right there in left field.
10-time Gold Glove winner. Most of those won in right field.
And you got Ozuna in center with a strong arm, and you got the big guy in right field with a big cannon. It's a good defensive squad.
And probably better now with Real Muto doing the bulk of the catching. 2-1 now to Granderson. Saltamaki, a guy who was no more for his bat than his glove.
The only really, I guess I can't think of the right word, is it's Morris at first base, who's hasn't got a whole lot of range.
Granderson drives one to center. Ozuna hurries over. Almost overran it. Stays with it. Side retired. 7 in a row retired by Cozart. G back to the mound for the bottom of the 8th. Still a scoreless game. Marlins Park is on the side of the old Orange Bowl, and there's some old time advertising for the Orange Bowl Classic.
Mizzou.
Ichiro took the strike from Dillon G, his 60th pitch of the night to start the bottom of the 8th. This is like an old time Randy Jones Jim Cott matchup.
Yes, perfect.
To Guys just getting it, throwing strikes. Efficient. Ichiro grounds one softly. Duda with the scoop over to G, just in time for the out.
Beautiful.
Nicely handled, one away.
Lucas is also very good at this too, feeding his pitchers. Very nice. G hustling over, and you had to with the speed of Ichiro.
The 15th ground ball out for Dylan G tonight. Among his 22 outs. He's now retired 13 in a row. The last to reach was Giancarlo Stanton, who's single leading off the fourth. Steve Cishek, the Marlins closer, gets up. Cosard is up to 93 pitches, so we'll see whether he gets the ninth or whether Cishek is going to take it from there. Here's Echeverria. Cosard due up next, and Justin Bour out on deck to pinch hit for him. It's a good curveball by G, 0-1. So it looks like Cozart's road has ended after 8. Marlins trying to get him a run in his column. Echeverria 0 for 2. And G picks off the outside corner, and it's 0-2. He's able to throw a strike with every pitch.
He's gotten his rhythm, Garrett. We've got away from this with his pitch counts.
Swing and a miss. He struck him out. High fastball for G. His third strikeout of the night, and he's retired 14 in a row.
Up the ladder. He's been downstairs all night, living on the knees, and now he just a beautiful pitch up and out of the strike zone.
Now big Justin Bour will be the pinch hitter. They called up Bour when Christian Yelich went on the disabled list with back problems. Yelich looked terrible against the Mets. He was struggling with that back issue during that 4-game series, and they finally gave in and put him on the DL. Bour is 3 for 4 since they've called him up, and has a lot of home run power. Bats with 2 out and nobody on, and swings and bloops one into shallow center that'll fall for a hit. So Bour takes a big cut and dunks one in front of Lagares, and that snaps the string of 14 in a row retired by G.
Fastball. Belt high, one of the few pitches that has been a mistake by G, and not hit very hard, but in a perfect spot.
Let's see if they run for Bour. Yeah, they're going to send in a pinch runner. Reed Brignac will run for Bour, carrying that go-ahead run.
So you got to be careful here. Don't let Brignac get a jump. Cannot forget about the base runner right here. Try to pilfer a bag.
No larceny allowed. Campbell in on the grass at third against Gordon, who's 1 for 3 tonight. And he takes a knee-high fastball for a strike. I keep looking at G's pitch count, and I get startled every time I look. 67 pitches with 2 out in the 8th. Carlos Torres is up.
So unusual. The pitchers used to pound the strike zone.
Hit hard, base hit for Gordon.
Brignac pulls in at second, so back-to-back 2-out hits for the Marlins, and now Martin Prado will come up with the go-ahead run at second base.
Beautiful hitting by Gordon. I don't understand why the Dodgers got rid of this guy. I know they were unhappy with his walks, and he kind of tapered in the end. I just think he's so talented.
Well, it'll be interesting to watch this year to see if he wears down the second half of the year as he appeared to last year, but he's off to a blazing start. 2 hits tonight, 34 now already in the month of April, with still a few days to go. Dan Worthington out for a talk to G with 2 out and 2 on in the 8th.
Good time to give him a spell, take a deep breath. It's a big out right here. 8th inning, tie ball game. Veteran hitter, veteran line drive hitter. Really, the one guy in this lineup I don't like up in this situation. We'll see how G pitches him.
And Stanton looming on deck, so huge batter here for G. Prado took G deep in New York 11 days ago. Tonight he's grounded out 3 times to second, to third, and to short.
And on the defensive end, pretty straight up, a little shade to the opposite field in the outfield. I agree all the way.
Carlos Torres on call if needed. And Prado goes after the first pitch slider, 0-1.
Beautiful pitch right there. First ball, fastball hitting. And G throws a beautiful slider.
Brignac the pinch runner at second. Gordon at first with 2 down. No score, bottom of the 8th. G about to throw his 70th pitch of the night.
And Prado lines one over Murphy, a base hit. Brignac heading home, and he comes in with the first run of the night. Martin Prado comes through with an RBI single in the bottom of the 8th, and the Marlins step in front 1-0.
The one hitter I did not want to see up in a tie ball game late. And it's a slider, and it's a good one, but look at him go right with it. That's a pitcher's pitch. And look at that. That's just, you tip your hat. He can hit.
Well, it was a spectacular night for 7 2/3 innings for Dylan G, who retired 14 in a row before the pinch hitter Bohr got it started. Gordon and Prado follow with hits as well, and G's night comes to an unfortuitous end. Carlos Torres in to replace him. 1-0 Miami in the 8th, with Stanton coming up. We'll be right back to Miami. Bottom of the 8th, leaves with 2 aboard. Giancarlo Stanton at the plate facing Carlos Torres. And Stanton pops up on the first pitch. Duda calling all the way. Side retired. Torres throws one pitch, gets a huge out, but the Marlins poke their nose in front. Last call for the Mets in the 9th, down 1-0. Today's State Farm agent of the game is Pat Cawley of Glendale, New York. Contact Pat at patcawley.com. By Mazda, KellyBluebook.com's lowest cost to own brand for over 5 years. And by Mr. Softy. Go visit your certified vendor, Mr. Softy Truck, in your local neighborhood. Love Mr. Softy. Steve Cishek on to try and save it for the Marlins. Juan Lagares leads off in the 9th and takes a slider for a strike.
Well, Cishek, last 2 years, 73 of 79 saves. Mets have given him trouble.
He's only had 2 save chances this year with the Marlins getting off to a bad start. He's 1 for 2.
He's had 31 career games against the Mets, 3 and 4 with a 480 earned run average. There's Familia up for the Mets, but his last 7 are scoreless against the Mets.
Did he go? He did not. Lagares held it in time. Ron Colton with the call, 1 and 2. Lucas Duda, who has very good numbers against Cishek, waiting on deck. Cishek ahead, 1 and 2. And Lagares watches wide. Jared Cozart, terrific for 8 innings. No runs, 2 hits, 3 walks, 2 strikeouts.
Cishek for a submariner or side armor throws really hard. Good at bat right there. Good. Mets have been hitting real well with 2 strikes this season too. This is, to me, offensively, Gary, has been their greatest stride forward as an offensive unit.
But right now they haven't scored a run in 14 innings since Murphy's RBI double in the 3rd inning last night. Breaking ball foul back.
Well, usually submariners rely on a sinker ball, to Colby, for instance, a Quisenberry. But this guy's more sidearm and boring fastball in on right-hand hitters, and he throws harder than the average sidearmer.
7th pitch of the at-bat to Lagares, and he hits one out to center field. Ozuna took a wrong turn, and it goes over his head and up against the wall. And Lagares pulls it at second. Marcell Ozuna misjudged the fly ball by Lagares. It's a gift double, and the Mets have the tying run in scoring position.
Well, he broke in, Gare. You are right. He misjudged this. And as an outfielder, late in the ball game, what's the rule of thumb? No doubles, nothing over your head.
Well, we were praising the Marlins defense. That's not an error, but it is a huge misplay. Should have been the first out of the inning. Instead, it's a double for Lagares. Just the 3rd Met hit of the night. And now Duda comes up with the tying run at second base. Lucas 0 for 1, a pair of walks tonight. And he takes a slider for a strike.
Backdoor slider, playing Lucas for the pull, but not so much. It's not the triangle pull. Echeverria right behind second base.
And Prado has to stay home at 3rd. That leaves the shortstop hole open. Tried the same pitch and missed with it. 1-1. Duda 4 for 9 in his career against Cishek. Here the Marlins are playing their 20th game, and it's only his 3rd save chance. And the Mets with an immediate threat on the Lagares double. 1-1 to Duda. And the fastball away, 2-1. Michael Kadire waiting on deck. Daniel Murphy behind him. And he missed with another slider, and it's 3-1.
He's going to get himself pitching very careful to Lucas.
Boy, you hate to put the go-ahead run on base.
I agree.
Lucas has already walked twice tonight. And he walks again, and now the Mets have the tying and lead runs on base with nobody out.
And you cannot bunt in this situation with your veteran hitter Kadire.
Even with the lefty on deck.
I won't second guess a bunt here, but how unusual. Your cleanup hitter, you're going to bunt with your cleanup hitter. It would be. I would let Kadire hit.
Kadire 1 for 3 in his career against Cishek. The Marlins not looking for a bunt, and he's not bunting, and he takes a fastball for a strike.
And again, just like the bottom half of the 8th, Prado, the one hitter I didn't want up in this situation. Kadire's the one hitter in this lineup I wouldn't want to face in this situation.
Kadire pops one up. Stanton in shallow right is under it, and that's the first out and a runner's home. So there's a huge out for Cishek.
Well, he's got to deal with Murph now.
Well, Murphy was the last Met to drive in a run. That was in the 3rd inning last night against Nate Eovaldi. He hit a double to left center field, and the Mets would love the taste of one of those right now.
This is why I don't like submarine closers, because right-handed sinker ball pitchers have trouble with left-hand hitters.
Murph, though, has had trouble with Cishek, just 1 for 12 in his career. Lagares at second, Duda at first, and Murphy takes that backdoor slider off the plate. Ball 1.
See, he's reluctant to come in with that breaking ball. He has to try to creep it around the back door. Lefties 2 for 11 off Cishek so far this season.
1-0 to Murphy, and he fouls that one off the mask of Real Muto and back. What a well-pitched game this has been. Marlins broke it up in the bottom of the 8th. Mets trying to respond.
And Murphy drives one deep right center. Back goes Stanton near the wall, and it's out of here! Daniel Murphy with a 3-run homer to put the Mets in front of the 9th. A bolt from the blue for Murph. His 2nd of the year. It's 3-1 New York. Took the Mets to the 9th, and it took a break to get them started, but they cash in as Murphy cranks one out of this big ballpark for his 2nd of the year.
Fastball finally right down the pipe. Behind the count. Murph stayed back. Clutch out.
A 400-foot shot off the bat of Daniel Murphy, and now J. Reese Familia ready for the save chance. Now Campbell drives one down the right field line. Stanton cuts it off. Campbell trying for 2. Stanton's throw is not in time, and Campbell has an opposite field double. So the Mets, who were held to 2 hits over 8 innings by Cosart, have 3 extra base hits against Cishek in the 9th.
Well, here it is, Murph's bomb again. Watch the reaction of Cishek. I know it's a big park, but that ball's crushed.
Well, things had not been going well for Daniel Murphy. Did a lot of work with Kevin Long before the game yesterday at Yankee Stadium. They moved him a tad closer to the plate. He responded with a pair of doubles. And now his biggest hit of the season so far, a 3-run homer. Nick Bassett is up in the Marlins bullpen. Chuck Hernandez, the pitching coach, just paid a visit to Cishek. First home run he's allowed this season.
I like the idea that they moved Murph closer to the plate. He was looking awful on the outside corner.
There goes Campbell stealing 3rd, and they let him go.
Wow.
Catching the Marlins flat-footed. Campbell has his 2nd stolen base of the year.
Well, I guess it took the Mets 8 innings after that late flight to wake up here.
It's still early. Even though it's the 9th inning, it's not even 9 o'clock. The wake-up call came in. The infield now in with Flores at the plate. 1 for 3 on the night. And Wilmer takes a slider for a strike, 1-2.
Now you could put a squeeze on here, but now it's 1-2. It's off. So that's infield in. Of course, they got to cut off this run. Familia going to come in for a save situation.
1-2 from Cishek, and he ties up Flores, and he strikes out for the second out. So now 2 away, and the infield can back up.
Chase the hard little runner in on his hands off the strike zone.
Kevin Plawecki, the number 8 hitter, has been up 3 times, grounded out all 3. Kirk Neuenhuis out on deck. He'll pinch hit if Plawecki can keep the inning going. Well, Dylan G went 7 2/3. Finally blinked in the bottom of the 8th. Carlos Torres came in and threw 1 pitch, got Stanton to pop up, and now Torres is pitcher of record on the long side. 0-2 to Plawecki. But what an effort by Dylan G tonight. He righted the ship against the Braves in his last start, and he was brilliant tonight. Two from Cishek, and Plawecki tries to hold and stopped it in time. 1-2. Meanwhile, Jared Cozart finally got a run, but Cishek gave it back and more. That man with 1 big swing. 8 scoreless for Cozart. He winds up with a no decision. And Plawecki goes down on strikes to end the inning, but the Mets, aided by a misjudged fly ball that opened the door, crashed right through. 1 big swing by Daniel Murphy, his second home run, a 3-run shot. And now it's Familia for the bottom of the 9th, trying to save it for New York, with the Mets up 3-1. Got the gift double on a misjudged fly ball. And Daniel Murphy took advantage with a 3-run homer after the Mets had been stymied for 14 straight innings. Murph took care of that, and now Jerry's Familia, who's had a few days off, goes for his 9th save of the year.
Well, more than a few days, and he needed it. He's been worked a lot. He's been perfect in saves. Going for his 9th, hasn't pitched since Thursday, so he should be strong. Muy fuerte.
Well, Marcelo Ozuna, whose misstep opened the door for the Mets, leads off in the bottom of the 9th. Ozuna 0 for 3 tonight, and 2 for 5 in his career against Familia. And he takes the sinker out of the strike zone for ball 1. Ozuna, Morse, and Realmuto, right-hand hitters all, up against Familia. There are no lefties on the bench For Mike Redmond, he used Justin Bour, who scored the first run of the game in the bottom of the 8th after a pinch hit single. And a fastball sizzles in for a strike, 1-1.
Well, you know one thing right now, the team, Miami's down 2 runs. They're going to be taking a strike as long as no one's on base.
Familia's been perfect since inheriting the save role. Gets that one over. I'm not sure that's where it was intended.
No, that was a helicopter that backed up inside. Stayed on the inside corner. Five-game winning streak with the Marlins in jeopardy.
It was a scoreless game till the bottom of the 8th. Quick pitch by Familia, and he gets him swinging. Ozuna down, 1 away in the bottom of the 9th.
Nothing wrong with this pitch. Slider, perfect. Oh, put that on the computer and just spit it out, and you'll go to the Hall of Fame.
If only it were that easy. Here's Michael Morris, 1 for 3, singled back in the 2nd. Dylan G went 7 2/3, allowed a run on 6 hits, and no decision for him. But this would be a big win for the Mets after stumbling around last night and after being stymied for the first 8 innings tonight. Coming up tonight after the post-game show, it's Geico Sports Night. Owls and Caps game 7, and Chris is going to the dog track. Or at least he's giving us hints on what we're supposed to do at the dog track. Ugly, huh? That's a strategy. Pounded it into the ground on the sinker, 1-1.
Good hard sinker. Down and in. This is not your everyday average sinker ball that Familia throws. This is a Roger McDowell sinker. This is wicked.
One of the reasons why the Mets have always looked at Familia and seen a future closer. Well, now he's a present closer and doing wonderfully. Morris tries to hold, but he went around. 1-2.
Larry Vanover not asking for help. I like that. I wouldn't like it if I was hitting.
You think? Again, the quick pitch.
Boy, he's
and
bringing
Morris
it.
able to foul it back.
He's throwing hard tonight. He has had the how many days rest? 3?
Didn't pitch since Thursday, so he was off the entire Yankee series, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and he had been pitching almost every day during that 11-game winning streak.
He is bringing it tonight.
8 saves during the 11-game winning streak. First Met pitcher ever to have 8 saves in an 11-game span. 2-2 now to Morris.
When guys throw hard like this, you just have to get a little more crouched and a little more set. A little more prepared to try to catch up to that heat.
And then what do you do when he dots that slider?
Well, you got to hope he hangs it, Garrett.
2-2 coming to Morris. Broken bat toward the hole. Murph runs it down the spinorama, and he got him! Oh, wow! Murph hits a home run, and then he turns a sparkler in the field for the second out.
Well, this is as good as it gets. Long way to go. Great stab and a perfect throw on the complete spin around, and just a terrific play. That's a big league play.
Knew he'd have time with Morris running and executed it perfectly. So now the Marlins are down to their final out. The rookie catcher JT Realmuto comes up. 0 for 3 tonight. 2 fly balls and a comeback. And Familia gets ahead with a fastball. If Realmuto can keep it going, then Ichiro Suzuki would be next. Mets 3 runs, 5 hits. The Marlins 1 run, 6 hits. 2 out last of the ninth. Ball and a strike. One. This is high with a slider, 2-1. Mets trying to beat the Marlins for the 5th straight time. Real Muto fouls it back, and now the Marlins are down to their final strike.
High cheddar.
That's the pitch they worked on with Familia during spring training, that 4th seamer.
I'd be reluctant to have him use it too much. The slider, the hard sinker down is his bread and butter.
2-2 to Real Muto.
Ground ball, Flores to his left. And the ball game is over. The Mets pull one out of the fire. Familia with his 9th save. Murphy everywhere. And the Mets, who were down 1-0 in the 9th, get the big bomb from Murphy. And they win it 3-1. They've beaten the Marlins 5-for-5 this year, and they get back on the winning track after losing their series in the Bronx.
Well, Murph been struggling in the field, struggling with the bat, off to one of his, probably his worst start of his career. Makes that man very happy. A matter of time for Murph. Got 2 doubles in last night's ball game in Yankee Stadium. I felt he was coming. Boy, did he clutch out with a 3-run bomb. And Gary, just a huge game in division again.
An hour and 58 minutes. This was a gem of a pitcher's duel for most of the night between Dylan G and Jared Cosart. Marlins broke open the scoring in the bottom of the 8th, but Murphy's 3-run homer in the 9th wins it for the Mets as you look at the game summary, and the fastest game the Mets have played in some time.